I do think the nation is in the throes of a leadership crisis.
Our nation is not in the throes of a leadership crisis.
I truly believe that the nation is in a leadership crisis.
Especially in the area of politics, but as well as in the church and even in families.
What I see is professional expertise and moral confusion.
The lack of strong leaders, not just any type of leader.
And not having had a leadership model, I think that my generation is saying, who do we model ourselves after? After Hollywood?
But a lack of good role models.
Young role models that get up and sing rock songs, and that's the depth at which we have role models in our culture.
A good leader should have the values of being honest when it fits the times.
Truth has become what the majority thinks it is.
There's people out there that believe that everything's relative and subjective.
Live and let live.
Moral absolutes do not exist. I think everything is relative.
It's not uncommon to have people even question the fact whether or not moral absolutes exist.
I guess there could be moral absolutes. It just depends on the situation.
Society doesn't have any real leaders that'll stand for what they say they stand for.
Our leaders at every level of society are not taking our country in a direction that most of us feel good about.
I don't think that we have a concept of the fact that there's something bigger going on outside ourselves.
As a result of this lack of leadership, we see confusion, lack of courage, lack of conviction radiating out to every aspect of society.
What is right? What is truth? What am I doing?
Our leaders are not demonstrating a personal sense of accountability to a higher authority.
We're living in a society where virtue is slowly diminishing.
A society with crumbling social institutions, with disintegrating families, with a value system that's in disarray.
It's really hard to deal with issues when there is no objective right and wrong.
That is a very difficult environment to stand up and say, no, there is one right way, I'm holding it.
There's absolute truth that can be known, and our culture doesn't tell us that.
It's enormous consequences. At the personal level, people's health fails. At the relational level, marriages fall apart. When marriages fall apart, kids are unspeakably hurt.
If we continue to have this leadership crisis, probably the children are going to be the ones that suffer.
Maintaining the course, I think, means dire straits for our nation.
We are looking for people to take control, to take charge and lead this country.
This generation is facing immense difficulties and have before them a great challenge to live out their faith in this world.
These students are going to be challenged in ways that their parents and grandparents weren't, to stand up for what they believe.
The generations coming up need some help.
Without a new generation of leaders that possess Christian values and wisdom, we will not be able to stop the moral collapse of our society.
Several years ago, the staff and the board of directors of Focus on the Family began to realize that we needed to identify and to bring together some of the best and brightest young students that we could find, and to equip them for leadership in the future. That's our mission. That's the mission of the Institute.
We hear a lot about the problems in our world today, and there are great problems, but God has great solutions for these problems, and that's what we see in these students.
God gives us at the Institute 40 very special individuals each semester.
A small number of undergraduates who have demonstrated leadership potential in their lives already.
So these students are literally hand-picked in terms of who we think God is sending us to be tomorrow's leaders.
The magic of the Focus on the Family Institute is the blend of academics, of professional experience, and of the relational life that they are involved in here.
I've had more real world since I got here, I think, than even at my secular college.
We're exposing our students to the real world because we believe that it's that world that Christ came to touch.
The Institute is all about the real world. I think it's right in the middle of the fight, and I think it throws itself right in the middle of the fight.
This is the most academically rigorous program they have ever tasted.
I've been very challenged to define what my core assumptions are.
For the first time in my life, I've really had to ask myself serious questions about what really do I believe and why in the world do I believe that?
A Christian worldview is learning to look at all of life the way God does.
Everything I'm ever going to learn from now on is going to have to line up with the Christian worldview that I'm getting here.
We test their convictions. We push on them. We cause them to defend what they believe.
To make us reason beyond just typical surface thought.
We have no illusions that we're changing the masses, but we do know that we are developing leaders one person at a time.
The teachers here are very good one-on-one mentors.
The professors here really care about the students.
One person investing in one person, it does make a difference.
What a difference can be made in the lives of young people when you talk to them at a very vulnerable and impressionable time of their lives. And it was that simple idea that caused us to want to bring students here to focus on the family.
In a nutshell, what we're trying to do is pour all of our energies, our time, our resources in these students so that they might become the leaders of tomorrow.
That has a profound effect on them.
And I've had a couple of professors that have spoken to my heart in a deep way that I think only God can speak through.
And so it's above and beyond just being able to teach in a classroom, but being able to teach life. It's a living and learning environment.
What they're teaching us is the same type of principles that they're living in their personal lives.
And they don't just walk what they're telling us, they run it, and they run it with passion.
For most college students, there comes a time in their life that is profoundly important. This institute is that time.
The Focus on the Family Institute may well be the most effective thing we're doing. I can tell you this, it is probably the ministry here at Focus on the Family that I'm most excited about.
There is a direct relationship between what Focus on the Family stands for and what we are doing in the Institute.
We invite students into the experience of that ministry dynamic.
They allow us to participate in the other ministries.
They get real hands-on experience, working side by side with Christian professionals.
Most of my learning has gone on outside of the classroom.
This has been the single most incredible semester of my life.
I'm going to take all this back with me. It's not going to end when I get in my car and drive home.
It was like a splash of color was just put into my life, and I'm doing the same things but with a whole new passion and a whole new excitement.
God's on the move. The Institute is one of the ways that God is on the move.
So all of us are going home to be what we should be, where we came from.
Wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm going to have this base, this foundation.
It has let me see that I can make a difference.
There isn't a more opportune or necessary time to have a program like we are trying to offer here at the Institute.
It's a fantastic investment in the future.
The investment we make in their minds and their hearts will pay off in ways we can't even see at this point in time.
God does great things with little things, and really, in the big picture, we're kind of a little thing. But we serve a great God, and that's our hope about the significance of this program.
It's a place where we ought to put our money and our people and our time.
I believe we will see the day where these young men and women assume the positions of power and that their leadership will take America in a much better direction.
10, 20 years from now, we may see some leaders.
Christian leaders that have Christian values and will implement those values with wisdom.
When I read the newspaper, I don't have hope for tomorrow, but when I look into the lives of these students, when I work with them, when I help to shape their lives and see where they're headed, I have great hope.
What is happening in the Focus on the Family Institute excites me as much or more than anything we've done since our inception. And the reason is because of those young people and what the future holds for them. I honestly believe that greatness is coming out of those classes that come to spend a semester with us each year.